what's up? This is Just Plain Nonsense.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Rob. Hey, as you can see, we have two people that one of them you've seen before. The other one, this person here, you have never, ever seen before. She goes, oh, right. Like she forgot what we did.
But you've heard
did
about.
you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's why I got these headphones on. So as you guys have seen before in our previous video, the writing prompts video, Micah's back. Say hi, Micah.
Hi.
I was hoping she was going to say hi, Micah.
That was very genuine.
Hello.
Okay, so as you can probably tell, she made the cut, so she was good enough. We went and reviewed all the footage and stuff, and she was pretty decent. She's a decent writer. So she's been writing some stuff, and you're going to be seeing that coming up soon on the show, or on the channel, actually. And then we've got this person over here. This, as you guys have probably heard us say for a while now, this is Hey Girl.
Hello.
You have to say hey girl, right?
Hi.
Hey
guys.
Girl.
She should say hey girl.
Hey, girls. And
Hey
guys.
girl.
So she was
It's
a lot.
not hey girl, it's hey girl.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
She was a lot more comfortable before we started rolling.
Yeah.
once we did the little clap in, she was like, all right, she shut down.
You
I
shut
feel like
down
this is
the
a
class.
big moment. Like
Whole
we
new
just,
person.
I feel like we just like gave the identity to Batman. Like Hey Girl's been this like the
Yeah,
mysterious
why are
figure
you
for-
wearing your mask?
I should have.
That would have been really funny.
Just the eyes though.
No, maybe I was gonna say I'll track one onto your face so it's like you're actually wearing it.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be way too much work.
Well, it's like you watch these superhero things and you're like, why are they only covering their eyes? And then they're friends with the people in real life. I'm like, you can't tell that
I
that's...
could recognize
Hey,
anyone in
hey,
a
have,
mask.
have you seen those pictures of Zooey Deschanel with bangs and without bangs?
No.
She has one of those.
She looks
greater
so
faces,
different.
Though.
Really?
And you're so used to seeing her with bangs that
That's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
that's why it.
It's like you're so used to seeing Clark Kent with his glasses and then his little signature curl, and then all of a sudden he takes the glasses off and you're like, oh, I don't know who that is.
Okay, but Supergirl, Kara, how do you not know that that's her? Her hair is
did she-
curled and then her
She's-
hair's in a ponytail and all of a
She's
sudden she's a
wearing
different person.
completely different clothes.
Yeah.
What about Hannah Montana? Same thing.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's true.
I never watched Hannah Montana though. By the way, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you could
Definitely.
straight up like dye your hair blonde, bleach it blonde, and I would know it was you. The hair
Yeah.
color's not enough to throw
Well,
off your identity.
with Supergirl, it's just her hair is the same color. It's just is it in a ponytail or is it curled?
I mean,
That's the
that's
difference.
her identity though. So
I do look really different with straight hair. Like literally, people be like, "Oh my God, Micah!" Like they've never seen me.
Well, it's because your hair is pretty. It's like
They're just doing weird things.
your hair
They
is
break
pretty.
into
It's
interpretive
signature. You know what I mean? Your hair
Exactly.
is
you
signature.
guys hear
Exactly,
them? You guys
so
hear them
maybe
subs
if-
outside?
Huh?
There's
Subs.
There's some subs. There's a car going by. It's like boom.
Some 12s,
You
I
hear it?
immediately think sub
some 12
sandwich.
inch,
I was like,
foot long subs.
Micah's always thinking about food.
I
think
know.
about ham.
I thought the same thing. I was like some 12 inches, some 12s,
12
inch
inches out
subs.
there, the foot longs.
I thought you were talking about speakers.
I
though, at
was,
first.
yeah.
Okay.
It was the fun. Okay.
Oh, I hear it now.
Oh, now we got
That is crazy. How do we hear that?
because there are cars outside that are driving by and we have ears.
But I couldn't hear that.
No, you can. You can.
Oh,
You can.
okay,
You just
okay.
you're okay. So I'm gonna give Micah a little lesson on how the microphones and stuff work. So I hope that doesn't come off condescending. I don't mean it to. Did it come off condescending?
No, you're
Okay,
good.
good.
You're good.
Thank God. So when your brain can block out that stuff because you're so used to hearing it. Like I was at home one day and there was a car driving by and it had the subs going boom, 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 all that stuff. And then like I didn't notice it, and then all of a sudden I was like, why am I hearing something that's so irritating? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's somebody outside with subs for like 10 minutes. So when you have the microphone and stuff, it doesn't filter any of that stuff out, and everything is like it's condensed. So the quieter stuff is brought up with the volume control, and then it's pushed down. The high stuff is pushed down with a compressor. So everything is brought to this like little spectrum here instead of like the subs being all the way down here, and then like the louder stuff all the way up here, you know, because if something's this loud, it'll get your attention, but if it's real quiet, it doesn't. But if you boost that floor, then it's all the same volume. But your brain
That
can
makes
filter all
sense
that
though.
stuff
But I
out.
also live in the city, so I'm constantly hearing like
You're bombarded
an
by stuff
ambulance,
all the time.
So it's just completely tuned out. But I hear it here, so I'm like, oh,
Yeah, because it's around here. There's like cornfields, and that's it.
Yeah.
yep.
The corn doesn't make any noise.
And that, viewers, was a free lesson from Rob.
Ding.
Freebie.
Okay, so whenever I asked Micah to come on the show today, she had an awesome idea for the topic. Do you want to tell him what it is, or do you want me to? Do you want to explain it?
Yeah, so
Okay, go
I'm in
ahead.
an
I'm tired of
interracial
talking.
relationship with a black dude. As Rob would say, he's always like, a black dude, she's dating a black dude.
He's a good looking black dude. Like as a straight man, I'm like, he
lots
looks
of black
good.
men are good looking.
I mean,
It's not, he's a good looking, but I see, you're trying to say he's good looking.
he's a good looking
Right,
dude. Yeah.
right,
yeah.
right. But,
Oh no, I wasn't trying to. Never mind.
Right, right. You're already racist, Rob.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but this one's good looking. Like, that kind of sounds.
She found the hottest one, people. He is really cute, though.
He's a good
I would
looking
agree
dude.
with you.
I'm glad that you think so.
Yeah.
That's important.
I'm sure he
important.
is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is too.
Yeah, thankfully.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, so Michael and Sydney are also in an interracial relationship, marriage actually. So I don't know. I kind of just want to like pick your brains to
Well,
see.
We're dating. We're in an interracial.
Yeah, you're still dating, right?
We're still dating.
It's still dating.
We're not on a break. Oh my gosh, I need to get friends.
Bro.
We're not on a
Have you
break.
been, have you been watching Friends?
I
Like, a lot?
actually
Watched
watched.
every episode.
I rewatched all 10 seasons.
I can do it over and over.
We were
again.
on a break.
Yeah.
We were on a break.
I watched
Yeah.
something the other day where it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine where he was
love-
like, he goes, it was Jake Peralta. He says something to Terry and he's like, and who's the dinosaur one? He's like, it's Ross, man.
I love Terry. Terry might be my favorite.
I love him except for the fact that he talks about himself in the third person. I don't understand why they put that in his character. I don't like it. But I
Just
love Terry Crews. He's an
A
awesome,
little bit
awesome
of
dude.
seasoning.
He's
I
an
love
awesome
Terry
black
Crews
dude.
too. Speaking of cute black dudes, Terry Crews.
You know, the harder you
Dated.
try to not sound racist, the more racist you sound.
No, I did that one on purpose. Okay, so go ahead and finish what your intro and all that stuff, whatever you're talking about.
I
Go ahead,
mean,
I'm done.
that was generally it. I don't know. It could get serious because when I told my parents I was in an interracial relationship, it didn't go over so well. And I didn't expect that. So I guess I'm kind of curious if you guys had a similar experience. I would assume not. I feel like it's
actually funny because the one thing about people is you never really know until you get into the character of the parents. And like my parents were incredibly supportive. And it was actually her parents are very supportive, but I think at one point one of her parents was not supportive at all for a moment. I think there's other factors as well, you know, but I mean, yeah, I mean they grow into it because they have to.
Yes.
Everybody has an image of what they see, and a lot of times it's not necessarily racism as much as it is they have their own image of
what they've created for
dad
their
wants
child.
son-in-law to look like him, and they
Yes,
kind of want to repeat
yes.
that. And all of a sudden, once they really get to know him, usually that changes. You know?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that was part of it. I mean, also, like, we're in the South, and my dad specifically has his own issues. It was particularly my paternal grandfather that is still, like, he just found out a couple weeks ago. But everything's okay. He hasn't
But
tried
from
to kill
the
me.
19
Call the Klan. We're gonna go.
But I mean, like, the thing is, I'm like, I don't know. Nobody wanted to tell him, so it really freaked
So
me out.
from the 1920s though, then that
That's
really
what it kind of felt like.
that was a thing back then. And he's probably still stuck in that mindset.
Yeah.
I don't understand racism. I don't
I
get
know,
it.
like, every time I bring it up to you, like, my parents having issues or my grandparent having issues, you're like, I don't get it.
I don't. I seriously
And I'm
don't
like,
understand
I
it.
didn't, but now that I've had them basically watch them try to explain it, I'm like, oh, you're just gonna kind of racist, okay? Like, I get it.
Well, it's like a stereotype thing that they have in their head.
Right.
Because my parents are not necessarily racist, but they have like certain stereotypes in their head. And even if it's not the specific person that you're dating, it's like, okay, but then what's their parents like? What is, you're not you're not just dating him, but you're going to be in their family. So it's like, what is their whole family as a whole like?
Ooh, that
That's
makes
true.
sense. What kind of culture you're bringing in? If
Yeah.
they're not comfortable with it, that
Right,
can create
right.
fear, and it's not necessarily a hate. It's just
Yeah.
it's an ignorant fear, you know?
Yeah.
Or-
Exactly. Ignorant fear, I think, is the perfect descriptor. But the other fun thing is my boyfriend's Nigerian, which I don't know if you know any of the classic stereotypes in America about Nigerian people, that they're trying to like swindle you and get you to come over to their country so they can kidnap you and they get the ransom money. Like
Right.
that was like a general thing that was brought up to me. Like, if he asked you to go to Nigeria, don't go. And I was just like, good Lord, do you know how many successful like Nigerian people there are in the world?
What if he
Like,
asks you to send money to his father, who's a prince? Are you going to
Exactly.
do it?
That's like a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and some stereotypes, I think a lot of it is the spirit behind it, the heart that you have for what you're saying. Really, you look at my family, right? Completely super white family, and you know they weren't racist about it at all. They were actually the most. They didn't even consider it. You know what I mean? With the exception of one uncle, which that could be a funny story for a little bit.
Oh, please do tell.
Oh yeah. but you know, a lot of it is just sometimes for people, it's not really that they hate the skin color as much as it is they fear having to be vulnerable to those people when you marry into them. And like these people are different than us, no matter what the race is. And so it takes them out of their comfort zone. So if you're always known a lot of white people, you're going to be comfortable with white people. Sometimes it's ignorance, sometimes it's racism, sometimes you just don't really. If you walk into a room and you make new friends for the first time when you're going to high school year, you're kind of looking for the ones that seem like they're more like you. It's a comfort thing more than it is a hate thing. And some people it's hate.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting? My whole life, I have not experienced that where I like am drawn to people that are similar to me.
Yeah.
I feel like if I know what somebody's like, I'm so much less interested
Yeah,
in
you
them.
get super bored.
I'm drawn to what's different. So I guess it's not a huge surprise that I'm in an interracial relationship and that like everyone I've dated has been really different than me. Like really different. Like sometimes to the point where obviously it didn't work out because we were too different. But yeah, I agree. I think it is like, it's based on fear more than it is like blind hatred.
Yeah.
But I think the fear can lead to blind hatred, which it kind of did with my dad a little bit. He's gotten a lot better, but like when he first found out we were together, he wasn't allowed to come to the house. They set me down and had a huge discussion. I mean, it was like the worst thing you could expect apart from the saying like, you know, you can't come back into the house. And it almost got to that point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I have like,
And you know,
probably, yeah.
And I felt bad for him because he's probably knowing you and being friends with you for a while. I know that he's probably a good dude because you have a good taste in
My
character.
dad. Yeah.
Your
Or my boyfriend. He's awesome.
But the thing is okay. For example, I was not to bring up old relationships, but it brings a good point and highlights how good she is and how you can't really make an assumption, even though some stereotypes are fun. Like a lot of my close friends, she knows I have close friends that are black, Asian, pretty much across the whole board. And if I know them well enough, and they know with the spirit behind it, I can crack a good racist joke to them. You know, like I've even cracked white jokes or Asian jokes, but it's what's behind it, right? So
it's the intent behind it.
Right.
But so there's this girl I was dating back in years before I found perfection. But but this girl, she assumed because I was white that I'd be okay with racism, right? And so she was sitting there, she's Japanese, and Japanese people, a lot of them, there's a, not like, so I'm not saying all, but
Wait, she was Japanese or
yes,
you were, okay.
She was. No, I was not Japanese.
No, maybe she was in a Japanese setting, like a restaurant or something, is what I was worried.
I hate Japanese people. Some white chick in the middle of a Japanese restaurant. No, she was Japanese.
You're about to get murdered.
And I told her a bit before that we were talking about our past relationships, getting to know each other. And this kind of here what broke it, but she found out I dated a Filipino girl, not her, one before that, right? And like you, I look at the character and not the skin, right?
Yeah.
If I'm compatible with this person, if I enjoy being
I
with
think
this
there
person.
was a guy who was talking about that before a long time ago.
It's not even the
His
thing
name was
of
Martin.
I don't know.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's not even like thinking
of
of like I don't subscribe to the being colorblind thing because I realize how problematic that is.
Yeah.
But it's when I like first got together with him, and it was a long process. We could definitely go into that too. We were friends for a long time, which was good. I didn't even think about the fact that I was in an interracial relationship. It didn't even because I saw them everywhere where I was, and it just felt normal.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it until I went to tell my mom, and she had a better reaction than my dad, but I could tell when I was telling her, I could hear the worry in her response, and I was starting to think, wait, this wouldn't be an issue. I really didn't think it would be as big of an issue as it was.
How long have you guys been dating?
3 years in October.
Oh, okay.
Nice. October what?
Okay.
9th.
Hopefully it's the 7th because it'll be my birthday.
Well, I mean,
Bring it back to yourself. Happy anniversary to Mykah baby, but more importantly, it's my birthday.
It's special for all of us. See how important my birthday is?
Are you going to give me a present?
as far as
See what I have to deal with?
things, I mean, it wasn't really problematic when we first started dating, as racial
Things
wise,
came out
but
later.
It was
Yeah.
later. It was we have different cultural differences. Like when we're dating. And when we were dating, we'd go to a family party. See, I'm Filipino. In a Filipino household, when you go to a family party, it's customary to go to every aunt and uncle and hug them or kiss them on the cheek and greet them. And there's just certain things that you do. And he doesn't do that.
I'm just like,
in his
later.
family. You don't even like need to greet people if you don't feel like talking to him.
Just come in, sit on the couch, and turn on the TV.
Yeah, it's just way more informal, I guess.
Right.
And so people, so then my mom and my aunts and uncles would be like, "What is wrong with him? Like, why is he so rude?" And then it just gets into
That's
this
a culture
whole,
thing.
It's a culture thing, but it plays such a big part of
That's true.
And I think that's why diversity is important. But even back to, let me finish that story with that girl at the bar, right? She's like, oh, gross. Like, you dated a Filipino?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a little racist, you know? But she thought, because I'm white, that stereotype that it's okay that, you know, white people, we just all have this racist part of us, you know, which is not true at all. But,
Right.
But like, to me, that did it. I'm like, wow, so you think I'm disgusting now because you didn't like the culture? And I've been across the board in a lot of different cultures and dated, but yeah, it's funny in that moment that I saw that for her that was ugliness, and I'm sure there's a reason behind it that's horrible or whatever. Maybe something happened to her. Like
it could be because she's Japanese and and Filipinos.
Is there
are
some
Filipino.
kind of cultural rivalry?
Oh yeah,
Well,
they conquered them. The Bataan Death March was one of the biggest slaughters.
Right.
During World War II. So my grandpa actually, you know, he passed away, but every time you'd mention the Japanese, he was just like, oh,
bitter,
the
yeah.
Japanese. He's bitter. So there's like, you know,
That's
it's
so sad.
rooted since World War II. So sometimes when you bring it up, people are like, you know, they have that hatred or.
So because you were with a Japanese person, she assumed you didn't like Filipinos.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
The fact that you would openly bring that up, though, it's like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, she just so. I mean, I guess she wouldn't have said that if she was dating a black guy, you know?
Yeah.
Because they know they feel that hurt from, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that believe in systemic racism, that a lot of us are secretly racist, and I don't believe that. I believe that some people are and some people aren't, you know? But I think that she bought into that to where it's just like, oh, he's white, he'll understand, you know? Like, no, not at all. It's jacked up. I'm here sitting with you.
Well, actually, there's a lot of people who are, you know, racist that aren't white. Like, I mean, I know tons of people who are racist and they're, you know, Japanese, they're black, they're Filipino, and it just, you know, it comes in all forms and
Dude,
fashions.
I've heard it in so many forms. People like just feel comfortable. They don't even test with me. They're just like say some racist stuff. Even the white racist people too, especially they'll be like, "Oh man, you see that? Like, dude, that's messed up, dude. Like, there's no way that could be accurate. Like you're saying, it's a complete assumption. Like, you gay? No, I'm not gay. They go gay. They'll bash anything they can to instead of facing inside the thing that
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I had somebody calling me feminine and telling me that I was gay because like I have my emotions on my sleeve and I'm a graphic designer.
What?
But yeah,
Like those
but here's the
Y'all
thing,
have to
though.
get out of Southern Illinois. These people are awful.
But you know, even I was talking to my buddy a while back, you know, and I grew up here. I moved away, came back, and you know, I think it makes you more of a man if you have the courage to face your emotions and say, you know what,
100%.
bro, that hurt my feelings, or you know what, that made me angry, and not be carried by the emotion and hiding from it. And I think that's where they're the ones who's scared and insecure because they're like,
Right.
oh, this is different, this is whatever.
And
Throw a rock at it.
And it's that fear again. I never had to do this, and my dad didn't do this, so why should I have to do this? This might, put me in a vulnerable spot. Like,
you and I have gone
completely-
through
Yeah.
that, and that helped build our relationship a lot.
Yeah.
Like it made
Yeah.
ours really, really strong. Because you were kind of like emotionally closed off, and then we had like once we started the podcast, we started opening up to each other and talking about things, and then that completely like helped you open up and actually like get in touch with your feelings. And all right, so this was a perfect segue. So if you guys saw that little jump cut that was there, that means that you are not subscribed on Patreon. So go on over to patreon.com/justplainnonsense and you can see the completely unedited version of
you have
this.
to
And
get
you
them
get
stink
to
face. Like, why
you get
aren't
to see all the
subscribed?
nonsense and the dumb stuff that we do in between all these cuts.
That's just like gay.
What is happening over here behind me?
There's
He's
a whole
giving
other
them
world of
nonsense to look at.
conversation. This is just plain nonsense, and it's perfect because nobody can stand on it.
Yeah.
I freaking love this because the thing I torture him with is my puns.
Oh yeah, we heard
And
about
now
that.
both guys out of you are punning the crap out of you.
Boom.
Yeah.
Pun.
I kind of want
Pun.
to. I kind of want to murder everybody. All right, so Michael, you were going to tell a story.
Oh yeah.
What was the story about?
Okay, story. Do you remember when I first brought you to Illinois? And I felt
Yeah.
she must have been so scared. But I took her. The first person I had her see was my uncle Bubba.
Okay, so where are you from? Before we
Diego.
can do San Diego. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're around more people that are
I'm so glad
not
you didn't
just
go.
white.
Diversity.
I thought you were like Chinese or Korean or something weird like that. I didn't know you were from California. No, not California. Where are you from?
Like
I hate
California.
that.
I've lived
Where are you
in
from?
San Diego.
I've lived in San Diego my whole life.
San Diego. Founded by the Germans. Okay.
Saint
Wait, really?
Diego.
Oh,
It means a whale's vagina.
Yeah.
It's actually founded by the Rothschild or Rockefellers.
All right,
okay,
so
sorry.
we're not
Keep
getting
Keep going,
community
Michael.
and-
I apologize.
we're not getting into
I
that.
had to know.
This is an ADD podcast, ADHD podcast.
We're just
That
advertising
was a
that.
dad,
Don't do
and
that.
that was not a Nazi thing. Because the episode
Michael's
wrong.
really
It's just a-
worried.
And stop.
That was so
We
4 years ago.
don't
so
support
Cut that
please,
out.
please
Nazis.
continue with your story.
I just mess because the episode, the content. I don't think I'm like, you know.
I'm gonna play some of that Nazi marching music whenever you do it.
God, do not.
I'm gonna put the sounds of them marching in the background too. To what is it? Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
There's audio. Just to like edit my voice where it's
That's like a
where it's, like,
Japanese
German and,
internment camp or something.
That was,
Yeah.
that was something like that.
Actually, I am mostly German, but
If you saw that jump cut, that was because Michael said something very inappropriate. So that isn't even going to make it in the Patreon exclusive one.
You
That's
ever,
just
like-
completely cut out.
you ever like say something, put yourself in a hole to try to talk yourself out of it.
You're just digging that hole.
It's just, woo.
Okay, so you were telling a story.
Yeah, Uncle Bubba. So a lot of us metaphorically have an Uncle Bubba. I have an actual Uncle Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, good dude, you know. But here's the difference between racism and just ignorance, not knowing any better, but, you know, trying. And those people should be given credit more than, you know, it's not out of hate. But so I take her by and meet my Uncle Bubba. And as soon as he sees her, you know, him probably being surprised, not knowing that she was Filipino, and of course me not feeling the need to, because I don't see the need to mention
Right.
the difference. Like, hey, my girlfriend at the time or whatever is with me, and you know, I want you to meet her. So I take her inside, and he looks at her, and his eyes get so big. He's like, oh, and he speaks in third person too.
Oh my God.
And he goes,
So there is an actual person out there who does that.
yeah. Well, here's the funny thing is that
Sure does.
he's the only one out of my family, out of my close, like of his siblings, my other aunts and uncles, and my mom, that speaks with this accent, which completely baffles me. But anyway, because spent a lot of time in the woods, I don't know. But he goes, oh, well, Bubba loves rice. You can make Bubba.
Oh my God.
And I quote,
Like, if you're going to be loud, you got to back up.
you can make Bubba rice anytime you want to. And Bubba, eat it up. Woo, Bubba loves rice. Right? And Sydney, understanding that it wasn't, you know, it was more into the racism, he goes, she's like, oh, yeah, I do like rice. He's like, well, yeah.
And then he starts going into recipes and
Yeah.
stuff that he does, and this whole conversation
How many
chicken, which is
recipes
not
are
even
there to
like-
make rice?
is all based around rice. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, how do you react to that? You're just
But here's the compromising point, right? Is that one, you know, my parents didn't act that way. They were a lot more cultured, right?
Right.
But the thing is that he had no hate in his heart. He was trying to show acceptance, and it's just
Right.
it was that lack.
He just
of,
didn't know how.
It was that lack of
Yeah.
diversity in his life that caused that. So I think a lot of times is bridging that gap. If people are trying, you know, you got to give credit to that because
Yeah.
they just don't know. They're really trying to bridge a gap, and they're not accustomed to it. Now, when they're saying because they're this, I don't want them around me. No, we're looking at racism because
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's a spirit of division. You know, it's more about like I
Right.
hate that person because of it. But that was the good example was the Bubba story because his eyes got so big and he's like, oh man, Bubba loves rice. I just eat me some of that rice anytime.
And how did you
Feed it to
feel
the
when that
coon dogs.
happened, Sydney?
I think
Her eyes got real big. She goes,
I think I would have been taken aback.
I
Like,
think I was kind of surprised, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I was kind of laughing on the inside because I don't really take things to heart because I can tell the difference between someone who's genuinely being racist and someone who's
Right.
just ignorant.
Right.
You know, and they just don't know. And so I kind of, I guess, just started to talk to him about rice because I'm like, he's already on this tangent.
Well, I mean, he is right. I do like rice.
I know. I'm like, I guess I should just, you know, he's trying here. He's making an
Yeah.
effort to try and find
as of
similar
right now,
ground.
that's the only thing you guys have in common.
we both love rice.
He's like, that's a stereotype. She's like, that's a stereotype. But gosh darn, he's right. So,
He's like, yeah.
all right, yeah, I got some recipes for you.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I do love rice.
We do have this in common.
I also love rice. I mean, rice is great.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent on rice. just in case you guys care about my opinion on rice.
Well,
We do.
surprisingly, this is one thing. This is hard being in an interracial relationship because it is true that I do eat a lot of rice, and Michael does not like rice.
It's so good
Literally,
for you.
we have this conversation every time, and I say it's not true every time.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. He does not like white rice
don't
unless
like
unless it's drenched in a sauce.
There we go. I like it
That's
mixed with
an
something.
American thing.
Yeah.
Is it regular white
That
rice?
is, no, I'm sorry. It's
Have you
not
ever had
American thing.
jasmine
That's a
rice?
white American
Yeah.
thing.
That's
It
the
is.
best.
I've had every rice, bro.
And you don't like them?
No,
The
I
white ones?
do. I don't know why we have this discussion literally like a lot.
Okay, he can only eat it like once every few weeks, and it has to be drenched in a sauce.
Yeah, it's
Like
blend of
ranch?
something. It's just I get sick of it. Like she gets sick of some of the things that like
Like mac and cheese.
and
Peanut butter.
so you there's
white
two things
people
to consider
food.
here. There's cultural
Not like
things.
chili.
Mayonnaise.
There's cultural things, and then there's just your own personal
Oh my God,
preference,
mayonnaise.
right?
Right.
So for me, like I know white people that love the crap out of rice, right? But to me, it's like here and there. I
It's
can't
not
have
his
it every day.
carb of choice. Like he could eat potatoes every day.
Oh dang! Heck yeah.
You know,
I definitely could.
Potato
you can eat a
Brothers.
cheeseburger. He can eat a
Potato Brothers?
cheeseburger 3 times a
I
day
want
every
that
day.
title.
We're gonna make that shirt. We're gonna
can't.
make. So hey,
Who's your
keep,
breakfast cheeseburger?
keep an eye out.
He can eat specifically double cheeseburgers. He can live on one.
Keep an eye out on the Just Plain Nonsense store for the Potato Brothers shirt.
I think we should have two guys holding fist potatoes and fist bumping them, or potato bumping them.
Okay.
No, it's got to be 2 potatoes and they're fist bumping.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like our more cartoon characters we have, but like fist bumping potatoes together, and it makes mashed potatoes at the bottom.
Oh, that's
Michael's not allowed to make any of the shirts.
Okay,
interesting.
so but you know what I really love though is chips.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
Okay, the
This
one
is
time I
why
tried.
they never get any.
Yeah, I know. Like, so now we're talking about food.
This
Welcome to the
this-
Just Plain Nonsense.
That's a food. No, chips is a separate food group for him because he can eat them on anything with anything. It's
Dang, just give me. I'm just talking. I'm starting to
okay.
get frothy.
Do you
around the mouth.
guys put chips on like on your food? Like not eat them as a side,
crunch
but do you
Yes.
crunch them up and put them in stuff?
I do it. I have like I love this. There's this Mexican place around here.
Chip Brothers too, which comes from potatoes? Wow, we're
There's a
Deep
Mexican
flavor.
place around here called Tequilas, and it's basically rice, cheese, chicken, shrimp, steak, sausage, all that stuff. And I crunch up the chips and I put it on top of it because I love it to be a little bit crunchy. I love crunching up chips and putting them on my sandwiches. I'll put them on there. Not every time, but
Okay.
like every once in a while.
So
I like some of my food to be crunchy.
okay, so I make all of our food because he doesn't cook, and honestly, I kind of like cooking. But here's the deal: I have to make 2 separate meals because he doesn't eat rice. And,
all the time because I'm not.
Well, I mean, I make
If
rice
he
different
ate it
ways.
more, he would get used to it. It's totally like
Yeah.
a thing where you kind of have to get accustomed to things. I know that from being with my boyfriend
Yeah.
and like trying like Nigerian rice. There's something called jollof rice that is it's like the best
actually
rice
sounds
ever.
good.
I could like send you a recipe. I mean, maybe
Okay.
he'd eat it because it's like it's very flavorful, and if that's because he doesn't like white rice, that might
Yeah.
be best for him. Ignore the horse. We're having an important conversation.
We're having a podcast with a child.
We're talking
over
about
here.
rice here.
I know we're talking about rice, and you're over
Serious
here playing with
business.
spirit.
Hey Shane, make sure you can still see her in the shot.
Yeah.
Oh, am I moving?
No, her because I don't want the horse to be blocking.
Oh, I think you want to make sure you see the horse on the side. I'm like, I got it. Oh, my wife.
Yeah, we want to see Hey Girl in the shot.
It was like she had a horse head.
Well, anyway, going back to what I make him sometimes, I'll make him like eggs or something, something for breakfast, and he'll just
rice.
take chips and he'll just crunch them up and put them in
Oh my
there.
gosh.
He'll
You
make.
put chips on eggs?
Dude, it's so
Yes.
good.
That's weird.
Try
Thank
it.
you. It's weird.
What kinds of chips?
Oh,
Doritos.
blazing Doritos. Yeah, all kinds of Doritos mainly. But you just crunch them into a fine powder. And you have like a
Why don't you
medium.
just
Put 'em
buy
in
the
a blender.
Dorito powder?
I just wish most people agree with me on my what I think tastes good because then I'd be a great chef because I really love what I make. But you just
I'd be a good
Doritos
chef
are
if people
us.
just like my food.
get some over medium eggs, right?
Which I cook, so
Which she-
you're
which-
not actually
have
the
your
chef.
wife make them unless you're good at making them because if I do, it turns scrambled and I have to like just. Anyway, so
That's because you don't have the patience to wait for them to
yeah,
cook.
take somebody who's competent
Oh
enough
my
to make eggs, or hopefully that's you, and then take some Doritos, especially if you like spicy. Get some blazing, the blue bag with the red hand on it, and crunch them up on your eggs. and be blessed.
You know, I've never done that before, but that actually, it sounds pretty smart because like a lot of people like spice in their,
It sounds
in their
bad
eggs.
for your health is my first thought.
That's not a concern. Who cares?
Like almost everything good.
Pretty soon oxygen's going to be bad for you. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. His food choice. Sometimes, every time that I eat rice, I have to make him a separate dish, like potatoes or like.
My brother has to do the same thing with his wife. Like, and he's got 4 kids. So he makes like 3 different meals every time. Because
Yes.
I just want to
eat certain
specify
things.
that I don't expect that of my wife. I just have a really good wife. I'm like, make me a separate
No.
plate.
Oh, okay. Let me just tell you.
Back to the kitchen. This is a failure.
Where's my Doritos?
We've been
There's no
together.
Doritos on this eggs.
We've been together for almost a decade, and he's never asked me to make him a meal, and he's never used a stove except one time.
And was that an accident?
She's just a really good wife. And
Well, you need to eat, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I would just go to the drive-thru. Like,
You can't live on McDonald's.
Yeah, and you shouldn't do that either.
I
You're
can.
not Michael
I was a
Phelps.
bachelor
Have you
for a
seen
long
Super
time.
Size Me?
Yeah. Well, he goes, Michael Phelps does. Michael Phelps was an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you
he
swimming
had to-
as much as
Didn't he have to eat like 6,000 calories a day or something like
Yeah.
that?
Dude, I'm Michael Ward.
Oh, look,
See the
Shane's holding
connection?
it up.
What's up?
10,000 calories? Oh, he
He
had to
ate
eat
10,000 a day?
calories a day.
Holy
I used to
crap.
be a
Oh, I
distance
thought you were saying
runner.
time down.
Dude, I have trouble
to-
eating 2,500 calories a day. I can't imagine 10,000.
Michael used to eat 6,000 calories a day
Yeah.
for like 3 months.
What did
Yeah.
you eat?
When he was
Okay,
bulky.
so every McDonald's double cheeseburger has 220 calories per double cheeseburger. So if you add mac sauce to it, bam, you just bumped it up quite a bit. So I would get those. So I would eat that, and I watched her one time. I think I made her sick watch me, but I can eat 6 double cheeseburgers in one sitting.
With mac sauce on them?
Yep. And
Oh,
so
that
that,
gets
so,
so
so do the
old
math,
real
right?
fast.
Without the extra,
If you don't stop being so loud.
without the extra something, I get excited, bro. Without the extra,
excited
But
back
look,
here.
even just the 200. Look, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1,000. 2, 4. That's. I'm sure also add
14.
plus the 20 each and plus the sauce. So dude, you're gonna get almost 2,000 calories for one meal when you add it all together.
That's like most people's daily limit.
And he would do that in between meals. And then
Yep.
I would make meals. And it was hard prepping his food for 6,000
But I
calories.
used to
Because I would
really-
meal prep regular
I feel
and
like
then he'd
that's
eat in between.
expensive, isn't it?
I'm like a big child.
I mean, that's how my
Oh, we
boyfriend
know.
is too, though. I mean, the amount of food, like, it's literally like 3 days worth of servings for me that he could eat. And he's like, oh man, I'm not full. Like,
Yeah.
Is that his voice?
No.
Oh man,
And it sounds
man, this is freaking not sweet, Micah. Oh,
and it,
I need more
but he
calories.
cooks, which is great.
it sounds really far away. And
Well, all Michael really has to do is stay with my parents for a week. Because apparently.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They stuffed me up.
so if you remember that vlog that we just had that we shot in San Diego? On that vlog, like I talked about this so many times, we ate non-stop the whole time we were there. Yeah.
My family.
It was insane.
We're a family of we're foodies. We like food. We like eating at places. We like making stuff. And we like planning our meals in advance.
I do that.
I was so
That's-
blown away
yeah.
with how much we ate. Because it's like,
And-
as soon as we were done eating lunch, they were like, what are we having for dinner? And I'm like,
They
we
always
literally just ate.
I love
they
food.
always bring home leftovers and they never eat it. And when I'm there, I'm like, yes.
Well, we just rely on my sister's boyfriend to just clear the fridge because he comes over, and I don't know. Maybe if it's like, is it like, some people just don't like wasting food. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
one of
Like
them.
Me too.
That's also my boyfriend. Anybody that I think likes to eat a lot, they're like, well, you can't waste it all.
I'm like that now that
gonna
I
eat that
pay for my own
guacamole?
food, but
You're a complete stranger. Yeah, well,
He would take a complete stranger's food without question.
So hey, I have a story about that. We were at Steak and Shake one time, and a friend of mine was like, it was me and like 2 other people, and we're sitting there, and he like, these people got up at a table, and he's like eyeballing their table after they left, and he got up and went over and got their plate and brought it back to our table and started eating their leftover food on it.
no, I could not do that.
that's how you get germs, like some real bad
That's
germs.
too much.
That was
Yeah.
I was like, you did not just go get those people's food. And he was
No.
eating their cold fries and everything. I was like, what is wrong
Well,
with
usually I
you?
just bring like a
There's-
disease kit and I test them right there. That I eat it.
If it's blue, that means there's meth
Yeah,
in it.
don't be weird about it. Just
There's
test your food partner. Make
there's
sure
a
that
limit. I like eating. Like I'll admit I am that one person at work where they send out the email and they're like, there's leftovers in the back. I'm that person that runs back there. Like I don't care what I'm doing. I will run back there and get the food.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back again later.
That reminds me of that GIF they have where it's like whenever your people tell you there's cake in the break room and there's like all these little penguins waddling down.
That's me because I'm short. Especially when I was pregnant, I was like waddling really fast back there, and they're like, "Where are you going in a rush?"
You're like, nowhere.
Pregnant.
I know. I'm like, I need food.
No, you got to tell them you're like, no, I'm not going anywhere because then they'll go back there and they'll beat you back there and get all the food.
That's true.
So then,
I actually have, I know the secrets at work, where to get all the food. I constantly have food. We're like, where'd you get that? I'm like, not telling. I got
That's
all
for
the
me to
connections.
know.
And for you to find out.
right. So you have any more stuff you wanted to ask them about or talk about?
I was kind of gonna ask about traditions, but the
Ooh, that's a
Ant
good
story
one.
kind of brought that up. Is there anything like that kind of put you off? One, like a little bit about his family or her family, or vice versa, that you had to get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to be careful because I'm on the air, so I want to make sure that.
Well, okay.
And remember, one of
Right.
these is unedited. So
Yeah.
One thing that I can kind of talk about, and this, I don't know, this is more of a cultural thing, but because, I'm Filipino and my parents immigrated here from the Philippines, whenever they came to the United States, all they had was each other. They didn't know anybody else. So my family is super tight-knit.
Yeah.
Like even growing up, I don't think I had friends. I had my cousins, and that was kind of just the norm. We always got
I feel
together.
like I see that a lot in Filipino families
Yeah.
too. I have
Yeah.
a friend that's Filipino, and like
Yeah.
her cousins are her best friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then your sisters are like your best friends. You're
Yeah.
just so close. And, meeting his family, it was so different because he can go days without speaking to his, family members, but they're
for
still
sure.
close. But it's not like my family. Like I FaceTime my sisters every day. Like that's how close we are because.
To me, if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh my God, like it's been 6 days in a row. We're almost at a full week.
sometimes I'll go months without talking to my parents. I'll go like,
That's so weird.
it's probably been like a year since I've talked to one of my brothers. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't have that kind of a relationship.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of it's culture. It's not that one's
just-
right or wrong. It's just, see,
It's
when,
cultural,
when your ancestors came here, right? They had to rely on us for survival.
Yeah.
It made sense. Like for us, we're still that close. We don't have, it's not that there's a right or wrong. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I can call them a month later and they got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and we enjoy the time together, but I think that it's just, we're not used to having to rely on each other. We just kind of get married and go different ways. So it's more of a,
Well,
for
and it's-
survival. I mean,
it's
we all
a
rely on each
comfort.
other. But you know what I
It's
mean?
a comfort thing too because here, when you go to school, there are people who are like you. You know what I mean? Like it's still the same culture.
Yeah.
Like when my parents came here, there was nobody like them. I mean, my parents came here and they actually lived in LA, like a part of LA, and it was predominantly white. Where they moved to. My dad actually came from the East Coast. He lived in Boston first, but it was predominantly white. I mean, San Diego is very diverse, but there's parts of LA, more rural areas that are still, predominantly white.
Man,
So you
I
kind
grew
of-
up I grew up in Houston, Texas, and all the schools there and the neighborhoods and everything was like 97% Mexican. So it was like I lived in a neighborhood I was the only white family.
Really?
It was really strange. I was a minority
Yeah.
in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty wild.
It's like people think of Texas, they're like, well, there's cowboys and horses and saloons and stuff. No, it was like gang fights and like we lived in a bad neighborhood. So that was very interesting. And then going to school, I had all Mexican friends and then like a couple black friends. There was like very, very few white people where I lived.
I think it's good for you. And not that there's anything wrong with it being an all-white area because it's not like the people chose the area and you should have a certain amount before you're an okay person.
Yeah, and you're not like
Right.
evicting people or
yeah.
not letting anybody in because of their skin
But I
color.
feel like because I've been literally across the planet, in different cultures, and I've literally lived in, and I lived in San Diego, which has a lot of cultures there as well. So to me, it felt like moving back now here, which is a predominantly white town. I think it's better for me now because I got to experience it. And when people come in, they immediately they're drawn to me as a friend because I don't see them differently. And you need people like that in these areas to help kind of bridge the gap for people, and be like, hey,
For sure.
yeah.
Well, what are the traditions that you
It's
and your
just
boyfriend
one
have?
of the things that is similar to you is like the super close-knit family. Although his family lives in Nigeria. He has siblings that live in the U.S., but they're mainly in Nigeria. But the culture is completely different. I mean, they call each other. I like never talk to my brother. It's so bad. But I like only talk to him if there's like a reason, and occasionally I'll like send him funny or something like that. But I wish I like it though. I wish my family was more like that. I wish I called my cousins once a week and like we met up and they visited me in Chicago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like American families are missing out a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree
Yeah.
with that. I wish my family was closer. Like I wish we had like that tight knit kind of thing. Like I'm trying to work on it, but yeah,
It's
we've
important
never-
too. Gosh,
I-
it's like good for your mental health. Like,
Yeah.
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 There's-
So what's he doing? What's he doing here when his family's in Nigeria? What's he doing here?
A lot of people come here just to check it out. Opportunity. He went to school. He went to UIC where we met.
Didn't you say he was like an engineer or something?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, he's a chemical engineer, and he's doing that right now. So, well, he's
That's
a project engineer technically.
That's
so,
awesome.
and he likes it here. It's, I mean, there's like good and bad in both places. I've talked to him like, would you ever want to move back? Because that would be like a huge culture shock for me to live in a place where there's like almost no white people. I don't even know if there are any.
Yeah.
And I've talked to other people that are from Nigeria, and they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot for you. It's not the same as him coming here as me coming there.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're still like on the fence talking about that. I'm like, I don't really think that's something I could do. Especially, I think I could do it before I had a family. But when I have kids, like I want them to be around in a super diverse environment. That's super important to me. So
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
they probably don't have super fast internet over there either.
I don't know how the internet is. I know there's like bad power outages. I think like there are issues like that. But yeah, and also, what was I gonna say? Yes, the like coming up to like how your aunts were upset that he wasn't coming up to them. Like, what's wrong
Yeah.
with him? That he's like, oh, you have to like physically call my mother. Like, you have to like kind of work to get her attention. I'm kind of like, well, like I'm not gonna chase anybody. And I've told him that. But she's a super busy woman. Like, she's an ambassador for Nigeria. She's very
wow.
successful. We have very, very, very busy. So she's like, when she was here for a month. I spent a lot of time with her, and I got to talk to her a little bit, and we like have like a similar interest in like decorating and like
Oh, that's
interior
cool.
design and things like that. So we bonded a little bit, but there's still
But it wasn't over
just
rice,
the way
though,
she
was it?
carries herself. It was over jollof rice at one point, which is like a really good Nigerian dish.
Rice brings families together.
It really does. I love rice. Sorry, I went off and I was thinking about rice.
I went off.
I was like,
That was
already
my
in
fault.
Well, as we see in different examples, it brings people together. Rice just is the enemy of racism.
Rice, if
It
you let
may
it,
be. I can't think of
if
any
you let it sit
culture
long
that.
enough, it kind of turns into glue.
Oh, Rob, so sweet.
Metaphorically, that is beautiful.
We all start crying.
That was deep. I felt that in here.
You guys need some more culture. If rice made you feel that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Continue. I'm sorry, I derailed
Oh my
the whole,
gosh, what was I
derailed the whole
talking about?
conversation. I don't even remember.
Yeah, so like even the way she carries herself is so intimidating, and it's how a lot of
It's all that confidence and the.
But
Yes,
that's
they're-
because
She's
of
an
her career.
ambassador.
Yeah.
they're
she's-
very confident people. I feel like
Right.
Nigerians though are. Every Nigerian person I've met, I mean, they're super intelligent. They know what they're about, what they stand
That's
for.
one of the things
like-
that really drew you to him, wasn't it? Just
Yes,
confidence.
absolutely. And it wasn't just, and it's not the arrogant confidence or, man, I look good, like confidence like you would think
It's
about.
like the legit
It's like-
confidence that he can back up.
it's like he knows what he's about. He knows what he's passionate about, what his like main motivations
Mm-hmm.
in life are. And that's super attractive, I think, to anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
I agree.
Yeah, and even like in like not necessarily if somebody that you're trying to date too. It's like
And a
it's just
friend, yeah,
drawing-
gosh, that's like
So-
inspirational. You want to be around those
I'm
people.
I know you guys know this, but I'm saying this for them. Like I'm the director for a TV show, and we had a guy come in, and like the mood was kind of down for the show one time because like we're working like 6, 8, 12 hours a day, and everybody's like run ragged. We're running out of batteries. Like all this stuff's dying, and so everybody's kind of like, oh my god, I just want to go home. And this dude walks in. He's like 6'6". I'm gonna give him a shout out. His name's Jeff McGoy. You guys need to check him out on Instagram. Check him out on Instagram. This dude is he's insanely inspirational. So he comes in, and this dude's like really, really tall, and he's a big old like just a big black dude like coming in. He's like he's got this imposing figure because he's so tall, and he's bald and stuff. And he comes up and he's like he's just like got this big old giant smile on his face, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's got this like bubbly personality, and he comes up and he shakes your hand, and he's like he introduced himself to each individual person. He didn't stand back and wait for wait for you to come up to him. He like came in and the whole spirit in the whole entire room lifted. Everybody was
Yes.
happy and fun. I was like, dude, I love this guy. So I started following him on all social media. I love this dude. So go check him out, Jeff McGoy on Instagram. He's gonna be linked right down here. Go check him out. Jeff, if you're listening, you're a good dude.
But that's interesting that you.
I'm glad you waited until that was over. I saw you messing with that, and I was like, if he,
I'll give it a nay out to him. Won't you shut up? I don't know. Go ahead.
But you brought that up about people who have bubbly personalities. I think that's kind of like that's one thing that I noticed too. I think different like the differences in our families is that in my family, everyone's very outgoing and really high energy. And that's just naturally how
I
they are.
loved that when I was there because I felt so welcome. Like the first like 2 minutes I was in the house, everybody was like, "Hey, have a seat. Come over here, do this." Blah blah. I was like, I felt so welcome. It was awesome.
I'm glad. But yeah, it's just, that's just how it is. And then his family is like more calm, and they're really about like one-on-one conversations, which is good because like you can get into deep conversation with somebody very easily and it's meaningful. And in my family, I mean, you won't have a meaningful conversation, but it'll be fun.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think there's good from both. I mean, there's something about going and getting coffee with your cousin, you know, opposed to, you know, a group. And they're all good stuff. It's just, and I think that why our relationship is so good is the fact that we're so different that instead of using it as a weapon against each other and getting frustrated with it, we've grown so much that we're just all around better people. And I think that there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you have a certain taste, let's say if you're a white person and you're only attracted to white people, that's not racist. It's your body, you share it with you want, it's who you're attracted to. But also if somebody is attracted to a black person or a Filipino, that's also a beautiful thing too. And I think that if your life's missing something, you should go for what it's missing. And you found that in him, and I found that in her.
I don't care what color you are. If you're attractive, you're attractive to me. I don't care.
Well, obviously, as you see with the group here,
He has a thing for Asians.
He does, or I
He
do?
does.
I have a thing for wife. Now I'm married.
Well, yeah.
Excuse me.
Don't get the idea.
I'm looking at patterns,
We
you
don't
know,
want the
and
whole-
his history, and I'm like, Asian. I'm seeing a pattern here.
It's the rice. It's the rice.
Yeah, it's right.
Well, obviously, I just proved it's not the rice. Because I won't commit to rice all the time. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
gosh,
awesome.
Michael.
Is there any advice, sage advice you have, especially I think when you come to marriage, I feel like everything's like officially measured. Put the horse down,
This
Michael.
is
This
serious.
is
Man, put the
serious.
horse down.
Put the
Yeah.
horse down.
Yeah.
Your relationship's
That
going to
you
be harder.
could give me, and I know
Okay.
it's different, but it's also the same.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give my piece of advice.
Yeah, go ahead.
really
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
But my advice is to not have any expectations based on your personal experience.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like don't expect him to do this or don't expect him to react this way because that is the main thing. And I think that's just all relationships too in general. People have this expectation of how they think their spouse should be.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, you know, based on their personal experiences or what they saw their dad do growing up or this person doing.
Yeah.
Just pretty much just accept
Yeah, let them be their own person.
Yeah, accept
Yeah.
them for who they are. And a lot of it is going to be way different than you since your cultural background's so different.
Yeah, and there's that. Sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, isn't there like some quotes like expectation is the root of all heartbreak?
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's a big problem with relationships in general, like whether they're interracial or not, is you get this idea of what is how it's supposed to be, and that's not everybody's how it's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah. Interracial relationships have one thing, an extra gift that other relationships don't have, right? And it's the fact that because the cultures are so different, the in-laws have to learn to fall in love
Right.
with them just like you do.
Right.
It's something different. They have to go through experience and learn for better and worse these things, you know, and I believe once that bond is made, it's incredibly strong. Like me and her dad at first didn't get along very well at
Yeah.
all. Matter of fact, it got real intense at some points.
ooh,
But we are so close now because pain and suffering creates
Yeah.
wisdom, right? And when you overcome that, your love, because love is measured by endurance. So I think that even once your family gets through what they got through with him, it's gonna be such a beautiful story. Instead of oh yeah, I liked him because of what I saw on the outside.
Yeah.
Instead, it's wow, he truly earned it because of the man he is. And so
absolutely. And it's already going towards that way. Like when I first told my grandma, and actually I didn't tell her, my dad told her, he called her and he was flipping out, like full on flipping out. And she had a conversation with me at a restaurant, and literally she was bawling and I was bawling. And it was probably the worst day of my life, no joke. She loves him now. So we have come a lot of, and that she met him once and instantly liked him so much. They talked so much. They were like almost like girlfriends. Like it was hilarious, but like adorable and awesome. And she asks about him all the time now. So
See how much more
Yeah.
beautiful it is now because
Yeah.
it's like you know what makes my wife and I our marriage so good is such the horrible things that we've went through together, the horrible things we've done to each other, and still being together in the end. And like usually just going through it, especially in the beginning, going through such a big obstacle to get there just gives you a bigger high five to give each other. And especially in life, you'll have it's the gift of having an interrelational relationship that especially when there's challenges like that. She was blessed that my family, with the exception of the uncle who didn't know any better, even he was trying.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't see, they didn't know she was Filipino until I got here because I didn't feel the need to say, I don't say this is my white girlfriend when I date white girls. I just said, this is Sydney. I really care a lot. My mom didn't even have a reaction differently other than, oh, you gave my grandkid, I love you.
Yeah.
It was that, you know, and then, you know, a lot of times racism lies in the minds of, you'll be surprised who's racist and who's not, right? But I think that with family, you just have a lot of family, have a lot of different ideas, and mainly it's because they love you.
Yeah,
and they're fearful because they love you, and you just have to help them be patient with them because that's how you kill racism, and that's in interracial relationships. It's a beautiful
That's what
thing.
they say. I mean, eventually we'll be so blended, right? That
Well,
Well,
I think
we're all going to be the same color, yeah.
but we definitely had more issues in my family with him
Versus than mine.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like my family is so cultured.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Filipino
Like
culture.
the fact that the family hasn't been rooted in America that long. I mean, blood runs thick. Like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even look at it as and I'm super patriotic, but I don't look at it as a national thing. I look at it as when I got into her family, I conformed to certain things I wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
religious beliefs and certain
conformity.
things, right?
Yeah.
But there's certain things I did, and
Yeah.
it's because I loved her enough to do it.
Yeah.
I loved her enough outside of, because you have to have a foundation. So I wouldn't change my religious and beliefs and things like that because those are mine, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to, if I can't stand on something, what kind of man am I? But the things for her, culture things that meant a lot to them, I mean, it was important to me to conform to those things as well. You know, just like if her aunts want hugs, I'll hug them. It means something to her. It's that
Yeah.
important. You know?
Absolutely.
But that's another. I was gonna say you brought that up. Advice: get all the big topics out of the way before you decide to get married.
Yes.
in.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like
Even
we,
kids,
100%.
I don't care
Yes.
what modern culture says.
Yes.
Where people are like,
even how you're gonna raise them. I'm not even
Yeah.
kidding
Yeah.
because
I
those
always
are
bring
just,
that up on a first date. Is that a bad idea?
I'm gonna be a little like
How many kids do you want to have?
maybe not the first date because you want to get to know if you even like each other. There's a connection between you
Oh,
two.
no, that was totally
he
different.
thinks he's
Well, just in case the listeners didn't get sarcasm. But, the thing is also that I think a lot of times people treat dating like it's just some whatever, and it's not. It's literally you testing to see if they're marriage material. There's so many women spending their life. I mean, in general, it's an adult show, so I'll say it. Sex is gross, right? A lot of bacteria still exchange. So the point is that when you're connecting with somebody, it needs to be serious, even from the point of dating. You know.
Yeah, I have a lot of people, like, I've been single for a good portion of my life. 30 something years. Anyway, so I have a lot of people who are like, you can't be picky. You can't choose. You can't be that
You
choosy.
should
And I'm
always
like,
be picky
Well, that's
if you share your
exactly
life
what I
with
say.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, you just got to take what you can get. And I'm like, no. I would much rather be single for my whole entire life
Yeah.
than be with somebody who I don't want to be with.
Yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not in it to, succumb to what I'm supposed to do as like a
Right.
woman
Yeah.
in America and get married before I turn 30 and all that. Like, I am waiting and making sure I have the right person.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
because you're
I
going to
knew-
spend the rest of your life with them.
I knew with her and I believe I told you this before, but I asked her out 7 different times.
Yeah,
Before
you did tell me that.
Before she finally
Oh,
said yes.
dang.
But I knew what I wanted, and she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he
But
was very persistent.
yeah, but the thing is, when you want something, you fight for it.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to fight for it,
So
then-
how do you do that without coming across creepy? Like without
He
being
was
like a
creepy.
stalker?
He
I
was
was
creepy.
creepy, yeah.
He was creepy.
You care to expand on that? Because
Yeah,
I need to know this information.
Yeah, I mean, you would think somebody, just kind of gets the hint. You're nice in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then but then he was very persistent. And then there's something, women will not admit it, but there is something attractive about a man who is like, who's forward.
I thought she was going to say crazy.
No, not crazy.
That's
just
why-
like-
if he's licking windows and making hair dolls,
no, like forward because it displays confidence.
That's why
Absolutely.
everybody likes me, because
It
I just straight
displays
up tell you how I feel.
Yeah, it displays confidence, and it's like at first it was kind of creepy, but then it's on the borderline of like creepy
It's
and
just
kind of hot.
unexpected.
Because I'm like, okay, like you're kind of confident.
You're impressed.
Any
Yeah,
romance
yeah.
show, watch any chick flick. Look at the Notebook. He hung off the Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's his favorite movie.
Maybe don't do that,
Yeah,
though.
well,
The
I don't
Ferris
need
wheel
to. I'm
thing
already
is
married.
pretty bad. No, I mean other people. Don't dangle off a Ferris wheel.
Yes, don't do what Noah did.
Yeah, the thing is because it's not really. You have your own standard expectation,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is that when somebody sees that you're willing to do whatever it takes, and on the other side of it is actually a genuine person who cares for you, sometimes that's exactly what it takes. Because I went through this bad relationship. I never asked. There's not a single girl on this planet other than her that I've asked out more than once ever. If they said no, it was no. If they said yes, it's like all right, But with her, it's like I knew there's something innate. There's something inside that I just knew. It's like I'm not. Every time I get a chance, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna ask her. I'm not gonna let her. I'm not gonna sit in the bowling alley or wherever I feel like God had a hand in that one, Or
Yeah.
there's like a destiny behind because I would keep running into her. And I'm like, I'm gonna ask her out again.
Yeah.
My buddy Joe's like, she's gonna say no. I'm like, I don't care. She's got to say no again. But I kept going over and over again, right? And it's just that's what a relationship has to be about too. It's just constantly over and over again, even though there's rejection and this hurt, especially with the family's interracial problems that come with it. Just keep going at it because it's worth it. And if you don't, then the relationship wasn't worth it. Not because of the race.
How did the yes finally come about?
Oh, okay. No, just kidding.
I have an interesting follow-up story after you're done.
Well, to be honest with you, okay, so
Be completely candid. You're married, so you're solid.
In San Diego, which I don't know if this is a social norm in most places, but in San Diego, you're not like official until you're official.
Until it's on Facebook.
You're talking or you're like dating, okay, but you're not like boyfriend girlfriend. You're
Right.
It's so weird how they have like a.
So
It's a tier structure.
we were hanging out, okay, like we were kind of, and
That's a big city term right there.
Yeah.
this is kind of what did it for me. This is crazy, but this is what did it for me. I had a habit. I was kind of entitled a little bit. I don't know. I was used to just.
You were a brat.
I was brat. Okay, so we got into a little tiff, if you will, and I talked down to him, but not knowing that I did, not noticing that I did.
Yeah.
And he immediately like corrected
Okay, he's
me.
told me the story.
He corrected me. Like he looked at me and he was like, "Whoa!" And he like put me in my place like so hard, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like okay, that was not expected. Yet I kind of like it, and it's weird because I'm used to just dating guys that just kind of let
They're
me walk all
pushovers,
over
yeah.
them, and then they kind of give up easily. Like if I say no or whatever, or they just kind of do whatever I ask.
There's no challenge in that.
Yeah, he kind of had a backbone.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay,
Well, I
I
think
kind
it
of
was-
like this guy.
I think it was the integrity behind it because I didn't do it in front of her mom either. I walked out in the garage and I looked at her and I
Yeah.
said, "I feel so
He
lucky
didn't
that
embarrass
that you're giving me a chance
Yeah.
to spend
You
time
did
with
tell
you."
me this story. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, but just remember, I have integrity and you're just as lucky to be with me too. I was like, I'm not going to tolerate you talking to me like that.
Yeah.
And I brought, so I knew it in front of her mom. I didn't do it to boast my chest. But when she's seen the real side of me, she's like, wow, because she sees that in herself, that's what any person wants, man or woman.
Yeah.
And I think he was so controlled. Like you easily could have said that in front of everybody, but you didn't want to embarrass me, so you pulled me to the side. And there was something like super like attractive about that.
Self-respect is.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
guy. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna do this. And
That's
the fact that
an interesting story. That's awesome.
and
Yeah,
the fact
I
that
forgot
he took me to Disneyland and he took me to Disneyland and we stayed at the Disneyland hotel, had breakfast with Mickey, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna be your girlfriend. Let's just be.
And here's where I didn't have self-control. I was trying so hard to impress her, though, on the other end of it, that
Oh yeah, I know this story too.
that I think I spent what was like almost $13,000 in like 4 months just to convince her
Oh my
that
God.
that I,
Yeah, you told me that a long time ago.
I didn't want to lose my opportunity with her, so I was like, I got it together, So I blew through $13,000, and like the
Yeah.
first Valentine's Day gift, I bought her this high-tech camera.
It was like a
Took her to
$600
Disneyland in
camera.
the hotel, and I like,
I wasn't even his girlfriend then.
yeah.
And I didn't get him anything. I was like, oh, we're doing gifts.
I was like, I don't care, it's fine.
Okay,
I'll
so
provide.
if you wanna get a girl, here's what you need. You need to look good,
Be a stalker.
be a stalker, and you need to have a bunch of money.
Take him to Disneyland.
That's all it takes.
Take him to Disneyland. Do it at 9:00 during the fireworks show.
9:00 at night.
Fireworks
Not-
are a
Yes,
good way to go.
yes.
Fireworks are always good.
You know, the fireworks come up. Julie Andrews' voice comes up, and you're just like,
Julie Andrews.
we should make
Julie
this
Andrews,
official.
you're making me fall in love.
We should make this official. And then you're like,
Be like, hey, did you post this on social media yet?
I never
'Cause,
went to Disneyland as a kid. I never had the chance, and so whatever we were there, we got the next morning, and we had breakfast with Disney and friends and stuff, and I was like,
Mickey.
As soon as I saw them in Stitch and all them, dude, I got so excited. Like it was like I was experiencing my childhood with
kid.
her though. It was almost
yeah.
poetic when you see how I feel like I've known her my whole life and it didn't happen. But then
Yeah.
that day in Disney, that 24-hour period, it's like we were experiencing life together. I was experiencing my whole childhood that I never got to experience, which I had a great childhood. I'm not saying I didn't, but never had Disneyland, And so I was experiencing that for the first time with her, even though we were adults. So we were coming together, and then just so many things were new for both of us, interracially and just as people. But
it goes back to
awesome.
the cultural thing. It's because you didn't grow up doing stuff like that.
yeah.
And
I mean,
I
you're
didn't
from
either.
Southern
I didn't
Illinois.
either.
So, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, see, I grew up
completely.
going to Disneyland, going snowboarding, like just doing things.
Yeah, I was raised by a single father, so it was like for the first 14 years of my life, it was pretty much my dad, and so is that we didn't get to do a bunch of stuff like that because he was always at work. So
Neither did
that's the segment Rob brings the whole podcast down.
So, any ladies out there who love to go to Disneyland, Rob wants to go.
So I haven't been yet. I will tell you this though. So
Goofy's ears feel good.
this is
Look at him.
that's a weird thing to say.
Wait, what did you say?
Not even
I didn't say that.
We're going to Magic Kingdom
not
next
even
week.
with
I'm not
context.
weird at all. Go Go ahead.
I was gonna say this will give you like a little insight into me. Honestly, like when we were at SeaWorld, I teared up during the dolphin show.
Aww.
Like legit.
It was
Remember,
a
that was
good
big moment
show.
for you.
It like yeah, because I had never been anything like that. And then whenever they started splashing water and like they're just going around, I was like, I felt like I don't know if it was like a connection between the people and the animals or like what it was, or there's just so I'm like getting choked up right now just talking about it.
Okay,
It was such a
so
big deal because it was amazing. Like
Here's
I
our
had such
next. Here's our next trip, Michael. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go to Disney World. We're bringing Rob. We're taking you to Magic Kingdom. You're gonna watch Fantasmic. Well,
Okay.
actually, I don't know if they have Fantasmic at Magic Kingdom,
It's
but they
not
have it at Disney.
Fantasia?
No, it's Fantasmic.
Whatever
Because
that show
Fantasia
is, it's amazing.
Fantasia is the movie.
Okay.
Fantasmic is
Yeah.
the show. But that's at Disneyland. I don't know what it's called in Magic Kingdom. I haven't been there in a while.
I don't know any of these terms.
But we're going next week. Obviously, that's just too short notice. But we're gonna plan
No, I'm
another
down. Let's
trip.
go.
We're gonna take you. We're gonna go because I want you to watch the parades and the fireworks shows and stuff like that because it will make you tear even as an adult because it's just like
If you wish upon a star.
And you're done with that because I'm not paying for that
I
song.
was trying to make you cry, bro.
Just tell me I'm
I
beautiful.
believe it's when you wish.
Oh.
Okay.
When you
It is when you wish.
upon a star.
And
I was really afraid his voice was going to break really bad. I was like,
all right, so back to the topic at hand. You got anything else that you want to talk about? or?
no, I think that was like, you guys have a super cute story, and yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
definitely
we
like
ended up
helpful to hear about other people have made it despite
Yeah.
Well, it's
conflicts
normal.
with family members.
It's normal to you because you guys went through it.
Yeah.
How long have you
but
been
it's-
together? I didn't even ask that.
10
You
years.
did say she did
10
say
years.
a decade earlier.
Yeah.
How old are you?
29.
14?
It's not okay,
Okay.
to ask women
How
how
old are
old
you?
she is.
29.
How old are you?
How old am I?
32
32?
in October.
In October.
just had to
31 now.
ask her
32 in October.
What his
Yeah.
age was.
Yeah, he doesn't keep track. I keep track because on his birthdays I get to plan stuff.
That's the weirdest
Okay.
thing I've ever heard. He doesn't keep track of how old he is.
Well, no, this is
Why
why.
does it matter?
Who needs
because
to keep track of how old
on
he is?
his
probably
birthdays
a
I
more
get to
stress-free
do
life.
I get to do what I want, but on my birthday he gets to do what he wants. So on my birthdays he buys TVs and stuff, and he's like, "Here's your
For
birthday
us?
gift." And on his birthday, I plan trips like Yosemite.
Because that's what she wants to do, and I don't really want to. So we actually, it's funny. We actually
giving.
give for
Give for
Oh,
yourself.
that's great.
for yourself.
though.
So it's weird, but
It's the selfish thing.
we get what we want though for each other but not. You know?
I see what
Yeah,
you mean.
perfect.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well,
The gestures. Am I helping my case?
I will get the perfect gift on her birthday, and she will get the perfect gift on my birthday. It's like we're celebrating each other's birthday
Yeah.
on our birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
That-
you more excited
yeah.
about the other
Yeah,
person's
like
birthday.
his
cool.
last birthday, we went to Legoland and we stayed at the hotel.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a
Awesome.
great gift
We
for
had the
a
line in the room.
32-year-old.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I get excited easily, but the thing is
Duh.
Don't say. What?
but you know, your life is your story, right? Not to sound like some generic like poster, you know, those motivational posters. But the thing is, you know, it needs to be interesting. It needs to have some serious drama, but it also needs to have your own unique ways of having fun and enjoying it. And that's how we do the birthdays, relationship, the issues. They're unique, and that's a story worth
You guys are making your own
your
traditions
kids looking
too.
on it, and looking back on it, and reading on it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys, I mean, even if there was a period where I had to separate myself from my family a little bit, and that's why I moved to Southern Illinois, because there are some sacrifices that you're going to have to make and some decisions that you're going to have to make that relationship work.
Yeah.
And that was kind of me moving to Southern Illinois was something that had to happen in order for our marriage to work.
Yeah.
So
How hard was that? If
It
you
was-
don't mind me asking.
it wasn't really that hard in the beginning. It was harder later on once you know the
Winter
holidays.
hit.
Oh gosh, yeah. Once winter hit, I was
Oh,
depressed.
that, yeah,
I
the
think
weather.
every winter I threatened to move back to San Diego,
Yeah,
and
I
then
bet
we
you still
fight.
do.
We fight
yeah,
for like
yeah.
2 weeks
That's funny.
because I'm threatening divorce.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
if you're
didn't
not
bring the snow.
I brought you to the snow. So that's when
Yeah.
you're like, winter is coming.
It's like during labor when she's delivering the kids. Like, you do this to me. Like, we kind of, this is a joint decision. You know?
Team effort.
No, it's your fault.
Yeah.
I feel like the woman always
Enjoy the
says that,
moment.
but I don't blame them in the
Yeah.
situation. You're in such immense pain. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this never would have happened if you weren't involved.
I know. Yeah.
No, it would have happened. It would have just been with somebody else. Then
Yeah.
you'd be yelling at them right now.
That's like playing chess with somebody. Like, I wouldn't have won if it wasn't for you because you're the person. You know,
Because you suck so
if
badly.
you were there to lose, then
Then I wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So is you got? I keep saying like, are you done? Are you done? Like, and I'm not trying to rush you, but I just need to know so I can
think
end the
for
whole
time's
podcast.
sake, we should cut it.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
about a little over an hour.
Okay,
Oh.
so we're good.
All right. Are you good? Do you have anything else? Nothing else?
No.
You gave advice, right, Michael?
What?
You gave advice, right?
I sure freaking did.
Okay.
He checked
I
out
mean,
for
he
a
did,
second.
but it's like he
Yeah,
was
it
like,
was like all over the. Oh. See,
all
I
right.
don't want to break.
All the newbies do that. It's like you constantly hit the microphone. over
I
and
keep
over
like
and over
hitting it
again.
with my chin. I'm like, am I that close?
Talk with my hands. Like that's just part
Right,
of how I
right.
communicate. So I'm like,
Well, there was one
do I do
podcast.
with
I've been
this?
doing this for a
Brett.
while,
I'm
and I
like
kept hitting.
purposely locking my
Toenail?
thumb so I don't do that. I'm like,
I was doing it the other day. Like on one of the other podcasts, I kept hitting it over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
I never do it.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this out. All right, so thank you guys for watching this podcast or listening if you're listening. I want to thank Micah for being here. I want to thank Hey Girl for taking her time out and having this awesome fun discussion that we had
Yeah.
here. It was very insightful. I learned a lot of stuff
Yeah.
about like stuff that I never would even considered because
yeah.
I've never had to deal with any of that stuff before. So
you might.
it'd be cool because
And now you have friends that have been through it, so you.
So I'll just be like, hey, Micah, how's it going with the black guy?
Benny. Benny. That's his like full name.
Actually, you know what? I
perfection.
was going to close this out, but I did want to say this. There was one time when I called you on the phone and we were talking about, like, I was feeling down one day, and I could hear him in the background offering suggestions about how to make me feel better.
Aw, that's
And
nice.
it was super, super sweet. And I
Yeah.
could hear it in his
Fist
voice.
bump, bro. If you ever watch this.
Yeah, Benny, you're a good dude.
He will 100% be watching it.
But anyway, yeah, so that was really cool. I really appreciated that.
Okay.
Okay,
That's great.
so
I love that.
yeah, you can tell him that, but then he'll see this in about 6 years when it airs.
Oh my God.
If I ever have time to edit. Speaking of that, guys, listen, if you guys want to come, if you want to support us, go ahead and go over to patreon.com/justplainnonsense. Click on one of those tiers to support us. We have anything from $1 all the way up to $1,000. We suggest that you don't do the $1,000 one because that's just nonsense.
But that's the name of the show. So it's like, should you do
That's
it?
the name of the
Mixed
tier.
message.
That's the name of the tier as well. It's called nonsense. So if you have that kind of money, hit us up. But
Dude,
if you don't do
we'll
it.
We'll use that money to buy you plane tickets to come out here to the show because you're amazing.
Yeah, actually, I think that might be listed in the tiers as like we'll
Yeah.
pay for you to come out. Okay, so go check us out on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you can listen to your podcasts or watch the videos. Also, go to our store where you can pick up our cool shirts. We're gonna have the Katugian shirt from the last podcast that we just did with the Area 51.
Yeah. Or I drew that.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're gonna have that.
That's a real thing.
That shirt's gonna be on there, and we're also gonna have the Potato Brothers shirt, which is gonna be super silly. You pick up stickers or whatever else you want to get on there. All right, so do all that stuff. Am I missing anything?
I love you.
Go like us on Instagram, nonsense.podcast. I love you. Do you guys have any contact info you want to share, or do you not want people to follow you?
You can follow me if you just want to see pictures of my children. No, I'm just kidding.
Now that it's creepy,
I
don't
will.
do it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anything? Anything?
I have an Instagram, but you're going to have to spell it because it's too
no,
complicated for people.
I'll put it right down there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so go follow.
Follow her here.
Yeah, go follow my. No, you
Right
can't.
above the horse. I want it to be riding on the horse.
Riding on this horse. Check it out. This is her Instagram.
Instagram.
No,
handle.
it'll have to be a little bit bigger than that because that'll be really small on the screen.
Somewhere around this horse. Hopefully riding it.
It's just really small.
It's coming
I'm
out of
like,
the
"Thanks,
horse's
bro."
butt, like right there.
Like, now they come out of his butt.
No, well, it did just come out of the horse's butt. Did you see it? That was disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, go check us out. Thanks for
All
watching.
over me. Ugh. I don't know.
It's so hard doing this with
breath.
children. All right, thanks for watching. Go check us out on all this stuff. We'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah. Toodles.
We are rolling.
Okay, let's see. I gotta remember to interracial relationships.
Can you say it? Interracial relationships. Interracial relationships. Interracial relationships.
No, backwards 10 times fast.
Relationship. Okay,
Okay.
hold on 1 second. Wait, let me do it this way. All right, it's the smaller of the claps. All right, you ready? All right, so we're gonna introduce you guys, and then are we gonna introduce you as Hey Girl?
Wait. Oh, do you have like an online persona?
No, that's what we've been calling her.
Oh, okay.
That actually is her
Just
online
refer to me
persona.
as hey girl, so that's who I am.
That sounds like a legit like
Hey
person.
girl.
I like how Micah listens to all of our podcasts. I'm just messing with you.
I like look at them or listen to them sporadically.
Well, just wait till these come out, and then they're going to be
These
all
will
like, they're
be
like,
more
I like
interesting.
looking at Rob. I'm going to keep watching them.
Exactly.
I don't know who would say that, but okay, everybody ready? All right. Hey, what's up? Oh, hold on. Let's get Michael so where he's not like, looks like he's got a headache.
Oh, do we have to look?
I do have to vote. I know, I'm like,
No, it's just Michael. Michael was just like, he was like, Michael was like this.
hold on. I don't know. Like, are we ready? Are we ready?
There we go.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh,
I dropped my horse.
party foul.
Oh yeah, the horse.
That's sling.
Party
Like,
foul.
Michael
Why
has.
is the horse here?
Well,
though? I had to ask.
you'll-
Okay, I'll ask later.
Yeah, you'll see.
I have a thing where I bring a prop to every
No,
episode.
I wasn't gonna tell her.
Oh, just kidding.
I didn't even understand anything but props, so you're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's funnier when she doesn't know. All right, everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right, pretend like you're actually having fun.
Oh man, the words you say from your mouth, the very wordly.
No, I was saying that because you were sitting over there like this earlier. You're just like this, and just look, you're so distraught.
Yeah,
The words you say. All right,
Melanie.
you ready? Hey, what's up? This is Just Plain Nonsense,
I'm Michael.
and I'm Rob.